All right. So, hey, we are back again. I'm Chris with Movies and Munchies.
And I'm Ruben from the Ruby Tuesday.
Right on. And today, hey, we are talking The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the whole season. Just going to dive into some spoilers and just, what we thought about the show in general. Maybe even some predictions for what's coming up. And then, who knows where the conversation will lead.
Yeah.
So, Ruben, what do you think? Just your overall impressions of the show. What did you?
Yeah. So I'm a massive Captain America fan. And so I was always dubious of a new Cap. And so I was behind the Falcon, and I knew he'd been given the shield. And then to see him not have the shield, it was kind of the next logical thing. We had this character that had been built up for 22 films, I think, with On Your Left. They've had that joke, but building up that friendship the whole way through. So it felt right. But then for him to give up the shield at the beginning, I was like, I don't like this. I don't want it. But obviously that was the whole setup, because that's the whole story. You've got to get the audience to love this new Captain America. So we get that initial burst of how the internet immediately hated the actor who was the new white Captain America. That he got death threats on his Twitter. He had to leave social media because for some reason, there are a few people in the world that can't differentiate between acting and reality. But yeah, so
he's going down into the, in the catalogs of the great villains, right? The people that we just love to hate because he plays the character so well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love the initial first 10-minute action sequence. We had that whole Falcon fly through, a brilliant choreographed. One thing my son mentioned to me was like, damn, these bad guys are really good. And it was really nice to see bad guys not just being schooled. You get henchmen that, left, right, center, they're just plopping down dead. But the Falcon had to work to, and I think he actually lost that first fight. Like towards the end, he didn't get what he needed to. They got away, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I love that opening scene too, because it was also it thrust us right in and kind of set that tone, right, for the what I mean at that point, it's like, well, I expect this is what it's going to be. It's got this big action, very cinematic, and just so much fun to watch, and it just boom right there. But then I was then it shifts gears and goes into the Winter Soldier, and the pace I felt, slowed down a little bit. I mean, we get that flashback scene, but then it becomes, I think, much more emotional when we go into Bucky's story right there. And I kind of liked the juxtaposition between the two, because, we went from boom, action, fast paced, and then slow it down. And then it allows us to then progress even further.
Yeah, my wife's favorite character in the entire Marvel series is the Winter Soldier, just because of how broken a person he is, and that plays a massive part throughout this series. As we start seeing Zemo introduced, and him trying again to use the words, and he's like, I just had to try. I mean, Zemo for me was a great character. I was a little bit disappointed when they just kind of like put him to the side of it. We know he's going to do something because skipping forward, we see him back in jail, and he's reading his book, and he hears that little news segment and smiles to himself and like, what is he up to?
Well, and the guy, the guy in the car in the last episode that blows up the truck with the super soldiers heading to the raft, that was Zemo's butler, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the link. So they literally just got the soldier that said to them, that was locking them in the van. One world,
one people.
Yeah. And you're like, oh yeah, they're still going to be around. And then boom, and you're like, oh no, they're not. Great.
Yeah, it definitely sets up for something in the future there.
Yeah, absolutely. Should we talk about the last episode?
Yeah, let's do.
Okay, so I thought, from the beginning, the first 10-minute action sequence on the first episode, I was like, that was great. And then throughout the episodes, we get kind of good action sequences, hand-to-hand combat, but I didn't see anything that was as good as that, well, for me anyway. But then this last episode starts, and it's like consistent action throughout the whole episode. There's a few dips of where characters are talking to each other, and you have that camaraderie, good cop, bad cop, between the super soldier and now the Falcon / Captain America. But I just thought the action throughout was intense, and you had so many puzzle pieces. It felt like we were watching almost a Lethal Weapon Marvel movie, because it had that sort of, they solidified the camaraderie between this good cop, bad cop, between Captain America and the Falcon, the super soldier. Captain America and the Falcon are one person. And yeah, so now that they've done that partnership, yeah, so my mind's still trying to get around that he is Captain America. Done this partnership, they can like fully jump into that action. But at the same time, they're playing on our who is the good guy here and who's the bad guy, which is why we get that massive speech at the end, which I think it felt like they were talking to the audience. I felt like that was a message, like, guys, listen up, things need to change.
Totally agree. Yeah, I'm curious at when they wrote that part of the script, because you're right, it absolutely, I mean, as Sam is just speaking to the senators and the rest of the GRC committee, he was talking to us. And really, I mean, I thought it was one of the most powerful speeches that happened throughout the entire show. You know, just that the social commentary that was being made there. And I love that they used this platform to do that, to kind of speak into society. I thought it was well done.
I just know some people are going to be like, oh, now they've gone woke, they're using color. But like, too right, how can you not? It's a black Captain America. There's something to say there.
Absolutely, especially because this follows up from that massive conversation between Sam and Isaiah Bradley, and about, you know, that was another great commentary there. But what he's talking about, and just like almost Isaiah Bradley, like, how could any black man want to be Captain America or want to wear that shield or wear, you know, and that's powerful. And you see how it affects Sam. And, you know, this part of what I loved about episode 5 too, just that whole progression of the conversations, and, you know, that Sam has with Bucky, but Sam has also with his sister, and just the internal stuff. So yeah, I think this was an awesome way to speak to society, and I think it's necessary.
I mean, even if you go back to World War II, the kind of tenuous link there from Captain America in his World War II days, they used, you know, Hitler used film as a message to his people. And then in America, they were always trying to drive people to join the army through their, you know, their adverts, their films, what is a man. So we've been using media right back from then. So to not use it now to kind of shape what the world is, when you have a platform of millions of people that watching this show, why wouldn't you? Yeah. And it's almost your responsibility. So it's great that they've done that.
Absolutely. Okay, so since we're talking about episode 6 again, my jaw dropped when Sam first flies out and we get to see what I think the shield flies through the window and he comes in. I mean, did you have the same reaction?
I had so many reactions. I didn't know what I was seeing. I was like, he's the Falcon, but he's wearing Captain America's suit, and it's white, and it's what? So good. And then he started doing the moves, because we'd seen him practice, but we didn't know what that was going to look like in reality. He did that one move in the air when he timed how he's going to take over the helicopter, and we're going to get that woman that she's going to take over it. And he does that spin thing, and it does that, knocks her out. And I was like, I'm geeking out, man.
That was so cool. I mean, just, all of the choreography that they did. I mean, and, you know, because they teased it with episode 5 with him training, but we didn't get the full effect until this time. And this was just, I mean, and even when he's fighting Carly, you know, in the basement or wherever that is, I mean, and he's bouncing around and moving around. It's so much fun to watch that.
Yeah, there's that moment where he's on the highway and the helicopter's falling down, and his wings do this shield. Yeah, and I was just like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, I didn't realize how many ways they could use the combination of the wings and the shield, and that works so well together, especially with his little bird, his robotic.
Red Wing.
Yeah, Red Wings, Red Wing 1, 2, 3. Who, when they were helping him like move the truck back off the bridge, and I was like, that's awesome. So now we've got a Captain America and a Falcon together, which is new Black Captain America. Or just Black Man. I don't know what are you gonna call him, because even the guys that he goes and visits again as and he's like, what are you now, the Falcon, Black Falcon? It's like, no, he's not Falcon, he's just black.
Yeah, that whole conversation and it was that ongoing joke type of thing too with Isaiah Bradley's, I think, grandson or something. So,
yeah, that was great.
Did you let's talk about a little bit about John Walker and just that character. I mean, because he, we come on at the very end of episode 1, and we don't really hear much about him other than he's standing there, but he is introduced as the new Captain America. And we get to see this arc from him that concludes in episode 6. How did it resonate with you, I guess?
Honestly, I loved it. I think I was with the people at the beginning. I was like, no, I hate you. You're not my Cap. And then you start seeing, I guess, his breakdown of his character. You see him trying to deal with society and how he is needing to be this hero, but there's things that he wants to do. And there's the previous Cap team that doesn't really want to join with him because they're different. They don't have that years of experience together. He's got his own partner. And then we get that moment where we see him crack because obviously his partner dies. And that was like a huge moment. Obviously he takes the serum. And it's from that moment we see him starting really to break. I don't know if you noticed. I mean, it's hard not to notice, but throughout like the episodes where he's doing this, he's talking.
The tick that he had, yeah.
And you see him like physically, and it's so hard to act with that mask on, but you see him physically, emotionally fighting like almost two personas, like doing that. And there was such a great redemption story for him in that episode 6, where you see him decide whether not to kill or to save, and he decides to save. And I was like, yeah, come on, we're gonna have 2 Caps. But then again, we see the tick again at the end, and he's like, I'm in it now, I'm the US agent. And if you know anything about the comics, he's not a great good guy because that tick starts overtaking him, and he starts making decisions that a good Cap wouldn't make. He's always been the dark of the path, hasn't he?
Well, and I think that's mirrored from his suit, which is black, darker.
Black.
I loved the redemption story that we got, that redeeming moment where he decides, like you said, he could either go after Carly and the rest of the super soldiers, or he can pull, the armored truck with all of the people in it. Yeah. And I really appreciated that they put that in there, because we get to see him, from kind of cocky, but kind of having a great, I think he has a good heart at the beginning. He has a good motivation, and then it goes a little sideways. And then to have him go really sideways and very dark, and then to have it, come back. The one thing for me in episode 4, where it is that transition before he takes the super serum, I felt that they rushed his progression just a little bit. That, we had, I think it was more in that impatience type of thing. When Sam is talking with Carly, you can just see him getting more and more agitated. And I don't know, maybe that's because he just got his butt kicked from the Dora Milaje, and so it's hurting his ego a little bit or whatever. But that, I mean, it's a minor nitpick from the whole thing. But I felt that part they rushed a little bit. But then when we get to see more of him, I was totally appreciative of that, and I was like right there enthralled with it.
I think we're gonna, by the way, how they're setting up for a season 2, because I know that probably what they're going to do with these characters is take them into future films, I guess, and then we'll take the next step into season 2. Where Wanda, I don't know that we're ever going to get a second season. We'll see Wanda again in Doctor Strange's new film. which I'm so excited for.
Yes.
But it does look like they're setting it up so that we get the US agent, we get the new Captain America and whatever Bucky is doing, and the broker with Zemo. And I think those are the four major players of what they were kind of linking to. Did you watch the credit scene?
I did. Yes. And so which is great. That's a great, I mean, at what point did you suspect Sharon Carter of being the power broker?
I mean, pretty much from the beginning. Like, she was different. That wasn't her character. It was either that they'd forgotten what she was like and they wrote her completely different, or there was like something is up here, that she doesn't have any trust left for what her government did to her, and so she had to change and become something different. So with all her training, she did what she needed to do, but now she's become basically a bad guy. I mean, she's on the black market, US trade secrets, weapons. She's like Tony Stark when he was bad. You know, you see his weapons and it's like, hey, Stark Industries is about to kill you. Yeah. So, and she's the broker. So I'm just wondering how much she's done.
Well, yeah, and her access that she hints at in the end credit scene there. I mean, the world has been opened up for her. Yeah. You know, which you can only see. I mean, her power, her influence, her destruction, perhaps just increases exponentially because of the access from the pardon that she gets, and then the reinstatement of her job. And you know that they'll probably, I mean, because of the time that has passed, her job has changed, and because of, you know, people disappearing and then coming back or whatever, she probably is going to be in an elevated position, maybe out of guilt or just because they need to put somebody with some experience in there. So it'll be interesting to see how they put her in the next, wherever she shows up.
Yeah, I actually got the sense that right from the beginning, that was always her plan when she was meeting up with the Falcon. When she's taking these phone calls from the broker, I'll see if I can get him to help us. I've always felt like whatever she was doing was maneuvering people in places so she could get her job back. Because she was talking to the Falcon the whole time she was making him feel guilty about what the government did there. And he's like, don't worry, I won't forget my promise to you, is one of the lines. And it's just like, thank you. But it's like, in the meantime, you feel like she's doing that.
Yes, what are we going to do tonight, Pinky? Yeah. And her brain, whatever. Take over the world. Oh, man. So what, okay, Taurus. Like my youngest son and I have watched every episode, and he watches like a crazy ton of breakdowns and everything from just the series and then comic books and everything. And my knowledge only comes from the movies, from the MCU. So I don't know where the comic books branch off and what they do and all the different stories there. But he was talking about, Torres will probably become, or does become, the Falcon at some point. Do you see that happening? Do you think is that a good move?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, because I feel like the new Cap from Falcon is still Falcon because of the wings, and it feels like those two characters have now become one, and to now do another Falcon would maybe undo what it is now. So they'd have to maybe build it up like they've done for this Captain America. He wasn't the Captain America, and at the end we get the reveal. So if they were going to go that route and make it one of the characters that they want, they'd have to again just kind of build it up slowly.
That's a good point.
What do you think?
That makes a lot of sense. I do think that they might be able to maybe not call him Falcon, but give him wings also, because he the new wings, unless I'm mistaken, came from Wakanda. Which
they did. They did. Yeah.
Awesome. But Sam, once his wings get broken by John Walker, rips him apart in episode 5 with that epic battle there. And so Sam leaves him with Taurus. So I wonder if maybe instead of him being Falcon, kind of like how Rhodey became War Machine, maybe they might do something like that he's similar to Iron Man, in this case of War Machine, but different. And so maybe they'll do the exact same thing there. I don't know. I mean, I hope that they bring back Taurus in some way, shape, or form, because I did like his character. Like I really liked him at the beginning, and then he just kind of faded out of the most of the story, and then would just pop back in for tiny little bits. And so I was hoping that maybe we get to see more of him, but yeah, I don't know.
There was one thing I was disappointed with, and I was really hoping that we were going to see another main player from the MCU. I was hoping that we were going to get a big moment. I actually thought it was that moment when the truck was stopped, and I was like, well, who's holding that truck now? And then it was Falcon. I was like, okay, well, the new Cap, and I was like, okay, that's fine. But I was hoping that we were going to get a reveal or a link to the wider MCU. And we had obviously the Wakandians arrive, and we had a few little moments, but there wasn't ever like another big character that I was like, man.
That would have been awesome. Yeah, I think there were opportunities definitely to do that. I wonder too, though, if they didn't, because of how COVID messed all of the production schedules up, because WandaVision was supposed to come after this, correct? Is that what the original?
I think so. Yeah.
So original. I mean, it's hard to know now and hard to remember that. I mean, and it's kind of unimportant because it's happening this way now. But I wonder if maybe they didn't have some of those pieces in there only because of how they had originally laid out the release schedule. But it still would have been great to have somebody. I mean, even to have like Hawkeye make an appearance, who's going to have his own series.
I mean, he's just finished filming, so he had that little tweet. He said, "I'm finished. I'm not gone, but you'll see me soon." I do wonder how these are going to link to each other, because in a few weeks' time we're getting Loki, and I feel like Wanda would have been an easier link to the Loki world because of the magics and the mysticism. And Doctor Strange is obviously going to have something to do with Loki at some point. So I don't know how this one would link, but it's interesting to see, because we have these TV series now, and obviously we trust them because they managed it with 22 films. Is it more than 22 films yet? Not yet. And we need Black Widow to arrive as well. So where is that going to fit in the storyline? I know most of the storyline is prequel. Is it before?
I think Endgame? It's after. It's between Civil War and Infinity War.
Right. So yeah, it's just before Endgame. But it's the story of Black Widow, which still looks great, but it does feel like a weird film that's out there in different timelines that we've already had, and we passed that now. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they link these together. Any ideas with what's going to happen in season 2 of the Captain America and the Winter Soldier?
Oh man, I don't know. I'm curious at how much Bucky is going to play into it. I mean, I like his new arc. I like that at the end, he has spoken with his friend that he had put off and just avoided telling him about killing his son for forever. And he finally does that. He gives the psychologist, his book with all of the names crossed off, all taken care of, and the thank you note. And so we've definitely seen a large transition and a character growth on his part, because he's really got the healing. I mean, we, like you said before, we even got to see, which was kind of cool, from Wakanda, Bucky's time in Wakanda, where they healed him from the keywords, or from those trigger words. So I think Bucky's role is going to be, no, I don't know what his role is going to be. I don't want them to lose that camaraderie that they've built, and what we see even at the end, as they're at the end of episode 6, it's just that big party at Sam's home or on the dock there and everything, and you can tell that they have really gotten this friendship, because as the show starts out, it's like, we're doing this mission and we're done. We'll never talk again. Goodbye. Thanks, Doc, for making it weird. And so I think definitely while there still might be some rubbing of each other wrong and some clashing of heads, but that's going to be normal. And I think that little bit of internal conflict is good for the story. I think watching them, they're probably going to battle off either the power broker, unless I get and my brain is like spinning now, is if depending on when it comes out and after which movies and what has been revealed in certain movies, I wonder, how that will come into play to affect the narrative moving forward with them. And I think it really is going to depend on where they pop in to other movies in the future.
Yeah, they've got to play a really tricky, like one step, this film goes here, this series goes here, because I know that they already upset a lot of fans with saying that the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not canon. So all of that has happened in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., even with bringing one of the main characters back who was dead, and it was the main character, everybody was like, oh, maybe we'll see him in future films. Never happened. It doesn't exist. So fans are like, what about these series? Surely I don't think there's any way around it that they can't make this canon, because obviously we have those characters that are now changed and they're going to have to be in subsequent films. But yeah, I don't envy Kevin Feige trying to figure all that out.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's see here. What about, we talked a little bit about the U.S. agent and how he becomes, he's definitely darker. We get to see him darker. Have you read the comics?
Many years ago, I had a couple, but that's about as far as I got. Yeah.
Does he have his own storyline that goes, or does he?
There is a big story with him. Just depends on how they put him into the world, because they've already changed some things. Obviously, they're going to have to. But from what I can remember is that there's a lot that goes on with him, and I can't remember him being a very nice guy. But he does things, he's of that sort of mentality. He thinks what he's doing is right, and the way he's doing is right. So somebody that is good telling him what he's doing is wrong, he just doesn't get it. And I think his path goes down darker and darker, which it'll be interesting to see what they do with this one, because now technically he is a good guy because he's working for the government under whatever you would call it, and we feel like he's had a redemption arc there, so he's kind of pulling him back. But then, even then, they still do that tick, and you're like, when is that gonna break? When is his psyche gonna just snap? At some point in season 2, I predict we see a full-on proper death battle between US Agent and Captain America, and maybe even Bucky.
That because that okay, well, season 2, who knows when it's coming. I mean,
as long as we don't go into another pandemic, hopefully we'll get it like 2 years. Fingers
sooner
crossed.
Than later. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh man. So any other thoughts on Falcon and Winter Soldier this first season?
I mean, I had a lot of thoughts. I had so many notes when I was writing each, watching each episode. I'm like, that bit's great. I think there's a lot of Easter eggs. If you broke down every episode, you could see things mentioned, from like Stark Tower, just to little bits of dialogue of what characters are doing, to the 5-year blip and people coming back. I think one of the biggest things that people are still upset about is that our heroes don't get paid. And you're like, what the crap, man? How are you not paying our heroes? Which is ridiculous. Like, surely Tony Stark, with all his money, would have set up a fund, and he could have made his money back by putting it in a bank and getting interest and all of that. He's a smart enough man to know that your heroes need to be paid so they can buy new costumes and things. Have some food to eat. Go buy some shawarma.
Exactly. Yeah, I thought that was like, it never occurred to me. Didn't even dawn on me. But then to have Sam talk about, did they bring it up in this show and confront it of like, yeah, I haven't made any money off of this. I'm just doing this, it's like, whoa, wow. I mean, I think that speaks to the larger hero that he is, that all of them are, that they're risking their lives, going above and beyond, and becoming vilified at times. And then also on top of that, now you don't get a paycheck. Awesome.
Yes, so let me ask you, who do you think were the bad guys in this series?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think, well, it could be argued that every group felt that they were doing what was right for the greater good. You know, the GRC believed that this was the best way to go about it. That, you know, for 5 years, these people weren't around. And so life went on and life moved about and people readjusted their lives and different things happened. And then all of a sudden, poof, you know, half the population is now back. And what do we do? And so they're in that tough spot of, you know, of figuring that out. And obviously not everybody's going to be happy no matter what the decision is. But then Carly and the Flag Smashers, I mean, they believe they have a noble cause as well to, you know, to fight against that. I think, I don't know, I maybe on one end, no, that's a great question right there. I mean, that's really good. I think both the Flag Smashers and the GRC are both flawed in their approach. You know, they both believe in what they're doing and that their cause is just, and it is the right thing to do, but that doesn't make it right. You know, I think Carly's group goes more sideways, especially as they get farther and farther into to reaching their goal or to stop the GRC vote, because they're now, well, she at least, she's willing to kill people, you know, and you see the rest of them around her are very conflicted by this, and that this was not something that they necessarily signed up for. They were all about, you know, helping other people, getting the refugees what they need, getting them taken care of, standing up for their rights. But then when it came to taking lives, that kind of crossed the line with a lot of them. You could see, I think some of them vocalized their disagreement in that, but you could really see just the whole, from a visual standpoint, of bodily, you know, feedback, you know, their whole emotive state was like, oh, I don't agree with this at all. This is not what I signed up for. But then they still go along with it reluctantly, you know, so they become complicit.
Yeah. What was the guy's name that Falcon fought at the beginning of episode 1 that survived, that they brought back?
Baltrock?
I would say he was outright just a bad guy. Like, he just wanted to kill. He was like, nah, I'm here to kill the Falcon. He beat me the first time. I'm going to take him out. And the only thing he wanted was money. And so I was like, yeah, okay, you're a bad guy. It was very interesting because this is what makes, I think, Marvel good. There's often a line of there's no good and bad. We're in the gray. And that comes from the bad guys, the good guys. You know, this one, even the Falcon and Bucky at the beginning, they're trying to work up, because they're trying to work around the government to help people, and the new Cap. And they're like, okay, so who are the good guys? They don't even know who they're meant to be helping. And the whole time you were having that weird moral conundrum, because they're trying to stop the Flag Smashers, who are actually trying to do good for the displaced people, right? And you're like, okay, so they're actually the good guys, but they're fighting the good guys. Can't we get along? I would say that probably the bad guy, now that we've seen the ending, because Zemo, even, we had a moment with Zemo where he's standing at a statue and you look at him, you're like, oh, so there's a reason behind this. So he is a bad guy, but what he thinks he's doing is also right. You know, the ends justify the means sort of thing. But the broker, I think Sam is so gone by the time they meet her, she's already the broker. And so she's already taken that step. So I was thinking, yeah, possibly she is the bad guy, but we don't know how bad she is yet.
Yeah, that's a great point, because she is really pulling a lot of the strings, and she is then motivating and facilitating the Flag Smashers, you know, exactly. and paying off Batroc. I mean, that, you know, she calls him in. I think, that's
and
definitely
executes him as well.
Yeah. Yes. You know, in that scene, where it's Batroc, Sharon, and Carly, I thought Sharon still had her earpiece in. Now, I guess maybe because she doesn't say anything, they can't necessarily hear what's going on, Bucky and Sam, but it was just, it felt a little risky to me, you know what I mean, for her to be there in that situation.
Yeah. I also thought she was surprised that Carly shot her, because she shot Botterick, and then the look on her face was like, you shot me? I thought we were like on the same side or something, which I thought was a weird way to go with it. I think they were trying to tell us something that I just wasn't quite getting.
It could have been because Carly didn't know about Botterick, of him and Sharon working together.
Sam, yeah, Sharon.
that those two. So that may have been what pushed Carly over the edge to shoot. Just
yeah, that could be it. So this is what I liked. I think it was probably what made the series work the most, was the gray area, and you're feeling conflicted the whole time as you're watching it. I think the lines start to straighten towards the end. You know who you're rooting for at the end, but you're also feeling conflicted about the Flag Smashers, and then feeling bad for them when they got blown up. They were going to jail. It was like, okay, you're gonna go. You killed some people, you did some really bad things, even though what you were, the thing you were doing was right, how you were going about it was wrong. And then you see them exploded and Zemo again. I'll just read my book. I didn't do anything. It does make me wonder why they've allowed him to have a radio and how he's communicating with his butler in that max facility. Which makes me wonder, do they have some sort of Morse code through the radio? Is he able to hear stuff there?
Maybe. Well, and we know that the raft is not as foolproof as it's made out to be, because that's how, it wasn't shown, but didn't Captain America, Steve Rogers, break them out after Civil War?
I think he did, yeah. It's like the Joker keeps escaping from Arkham Asylum,
Change the locks or something, figure out the bars. You gotta do something.
Yeah, that's good. I'm looking forward to the next bit, but I thought overall it was a really solid series.
Absolutely, me too. I was pleasantly surprised. It definitely had a different tone and a different pacing than WandaVision did. Which I appreciated, because it takes on its own life then, and it kept me going the entire time, and I appreciated the quieter moments that they would take in an episode, and then mix in with some of the just amazing action that they would do. And so it really, I think what would bum me out each week is that, oh, dang it, it's over. I've got to wait a whole nother week, to watch this. Whereas I'm ready for a 3-hour movie. Just bring it on. Let me see this.
I was thinking about that. I kind of like what Disney's doing though, because it takes me back to my Friday nights of looking forward to an episode of something. When you're young, you're watching. Well, for me, like showing my age, watching Airwolf or The A-Team or something. And you're really looking forward to those. And now with like Netflix setting the standard of binging TV series dropping all at once, and a lot of streaming services taking that role on as well. And we're living in a very much of an age of, I want it now, give it to me all now. And we're teaching us a little bit of patience now, which is it's hard to do because they're so good. But at the same time, I'm left feeling, now what? It's finished.
Yeah, well, and now we have, what is it, like 7 weeks? Something?
Yeah, June 15th or something.
Yeah, until Loki comes out. And
what's going to fill that gap?
Yeah, well, I on my own, I've been rewatching the MCU in timeline order, and so I start. It's been wonderful. Because Disney Plus put it in timeline order for us. It's missing a few movies, obviously, just because of certain contractual things.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. But so I'm just finishing up I'm finishing up Endgame right now. And so maybe what I'll do is go back and, watch another one here or there, just because it fills that gap and it's a lot of fun, and just, it's that nice escape, and it's a familiar escape too. But yeah, I'm that big break in between now and when Loki comes out is going to be painful.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like a guy in the corner. It's like, if you got some more, if you got some more MCU, if you got some.
Absolutely. So, oh my goodness, right on. Well, I think the show, this was a great show. I was surprised at how much they were be able to put in to only 6 episodes. Because especially at the beginning, it felt like, wow, are you going to just cram it all in? Is it going to feel too rushed, too packed? And I felt it breathed a little bit as the show went on, and it felt overall pretty good.
So before we finish our long chat about this amazing show, can you name your favorite moment, apart from the reveal, which we're really geek, the reveal of the new suit, but in the entire 6 episodes, was there one moment that you just thought, yeah, that's it? I love that bit.
For me, okay, so episode 5 was my favorite episode out of all 6. And that doesn't take away from the reveal of Captain America. Okay, so I'm gonna have my answer, and then I'm gonna have a runner up there. Yeah. So in episode 5, as Sam and Bucky are throwing the shield in front of Sam's house, and they're just kind of practicing that conversation that they have about healing, and that, for me, it wrapped up just so much of the show. I mean, it included so much emotion. We watch Sam kind of accepting now that, I mean, he's holding the shield, he's beginning to throw it, and he's becoming Captain America. And so I think for me, that portion there, I don't know how long it was, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever it was just, it hit me. And it had to rise above a whole bunch of other moments that hit me really well. My runner-up is at the end of episode 6, where the screen goes black and it says Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I went, whoa! So yeah, that's mine. Okay, what's yours?
Okay, so funnily enough, mine is also in episode 5. But it's the moment when they're working on the boat together, and they're working on, and he says, "Hand me this," and he says, "No, you got to go this way." It's just that they've had that culmination of building those characters up, and they've finally reached a part where they're accepting each other of who they are, where they're at. They've gone and seen the lady that's talked them through some of their issues. They've had a few fights, and they're now in it together. And I just thought that moment was the moment you're like, they're actually a team now. And I thought that solidified it. So you can have all the action big sequences, but as soon as you solidify emotionally and you get the audience, to invest, I was like, yeah, I'm really, really 100% there now. And that was great. I thought that was great. I would say it's episode 6, apart from the reveal, is I think some of the moves, just with the wings and what he could do with them, and the shield, seeing that work in congruency, like when he lands and he throws the shield and it just goes bang, 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 and he was like, yeah, that's Cap. And he catches it, and he doesn't even have the super serum.
Yeah, that's I think even what makes him more impressive is that he's just a dude. I mean, he's in better shape than I am, but aside from that, I mean, he's got some wings, and he's got some cool tech, but if he gets punched too many times by the super soldiers, he's not able to take it like Steve Rogers was, or even with how Bucky is.
I mean, Batman's got billions. He's got all the gadgets. What has he got? He got a gift.
Exactly. Oh, right on. Well, this was a good discussion. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad that we got to chat about just what, the fun that the show was, and everything that we, that popped out and stuck out to us. So thanks, Ruben, for chatting with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, sorry about my eye line, because the webcam's up there.
Yeah, so mine's up here, my computer's down here.
But
so
your
yeah,
face is over there.
yeah, it's a, hey, welcome to the world of chatting across the pond. So
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing we can do that. So yeah,
absolutely.
hard.
Cool. Bye, everybody. Hey, thanks for joining us. Again, it's Movies and Munchies and the Ruby Tuesday. And definitely, like, subscribe, share it around. Let us know in the comments, too. What
I
you
would
thought
say
of the
lick the
series.
screen, but that'd be gross.
Hey, no, go ahead. Lick the screen. I don't care. If you want to, that's totally your prerogative. All right.
Wait,
thanks
let's see
for
if I can
joining.
do it. Oh, ah.